Hello, welcome to the Connect This AI webinar for this morning. My name is Greg Buchanan. I'm the technical director at Connect This. We're hosting this with the idea of giving people the ability to not be scared, but to embrace artificial intelligence moving forward. There's a lot to it. Therefore, I'm sure you're here to learn quite a bit about it and hopefully try and implement this within your businesses in 2024. So I will kick this off, and this is quite an interactive presentation. So you'll see that there's a QR code coming up. If you can join that using your mobile phone's camera, that'll allow you to interact with us. You will have the ability to provide questions. They will be answered at the end, so please don't worry about that. And if I can ask everybody to stay on mute for me, that would be absolutely brilliant. So we'll kick this off. And if you do have any questions that you want to be answered at the end, please feel free to fill them in. So here we go. If you'd like to scan the QR code with your mobile phones, there's a number there that you need to join. I will give you a minute or so to perform that, and then we'll be able to kick off the session. A few little quiz questions in here just to keep people on the toes. Make sure you're listening. So to give everybody a bit of a background about myself, as I mentioned, I'm the technical director of Connect This. I've been in the business quite a while now. My past is actually armed forces, so I was in the submarine service. Then moved on to GCHQ and a lot of other public sector organisations, Ministry of Defence. The public sector, believe it or not, has been using generative AI in a lot of what they do, particularly in the espionage area. So I'd like to feel that I've got quite a bit of a handle on this, and it's been around for quite some time. So everybody should have joined. So we will kick off to the first question. Can anybody tell us which company developed Microsoft Copilot? Obviously, if people get the wrong answer here, then I'll be a bit worried. Perfect. Everybody's switched on. So, artificial intelligence. Everybody's heard about artificial intelligence. It's the big buzz acronym in 2023 and 2024. Thing is, do people actually know what AI is? Do people understand what AI is, rather than just this scary artificial intelligence phrase? So I thought I'd give people a bit of a rundown as to what it is. So AI is formed of three major components. This isn't exhaustive, but these are the three main components. So you've got machine learning, deep learning, and natural language processing. So the machine learning side of it is where the artificial intelligence applications are pulling data from the internet, from your files, from the information that you input into your IT environments. It's learning about all these different environments, what you watch, what you type, how you type, everything else. It's pulling that information, and it's effectively remembering that to be used to give you a bit of a human feedback when you utilize the likes of Copilot. Deep learning, this is where it gets even more complex. So this is for complex data. This is where it's looking at images. You've seen this on the adverts for the Google Pixel and the Apple iPhone, where you've got the camera applications that are taking bits and pieces from images, changing smiles, things like that. This is the deep learning element of artificial intelligence. And then you've got the natural language processing. So this is the likes of Copilot, ChatGPT, everything else. You want them to interact with you as if they are a human. That's the whole idea of artificial intelligence. This is where it's recognizing how people interact with their computers when it comes to speech and text. So again, whatever you put in, you're going to get back out in a human emulated format. So hopefully that clears up how AI is built, how AI is processing everything that you're asking it to process. So got a bit of a live quiz in here, so if people can join in again on the mobiles. So an interesting one. When was the first AI-powered chatbot developed? If people can jump into this one, was it 1972, 2016, 1980, or 1966? We've got people voting. A lot of people going early. Nobody in 2016. So the answer is 1966, and it might actually surprise people that it was that early. It was actually developed by Joseph Weizenbaum at MIT in the US. It was a program called ELIZA, and it was developed between 1964 and 1967, and it went live in 1966. And the idea, exactly what we were talking about earlier, the natural language processing, it was there to be tested as a psychotherapist or emulate a psychotherapist. It wasn't put into use in anger. It wasn't used as a doctor. But it's a great example as to how long artificial intelligence has actually been about. So it was also the first chatbot that was capable of taking the Turing test, which is a bit of information for you. So when you get a chance, get yourselves on Wikipedia and learn a bit more about this, and it should give you an insight as to where the early days of natural language processing came from. So, where is AI commonly used in the workplace? If everybody can add to this. So we've got accountancy and finance, customer service and support, human resources and recruitment, and sales and marketing. So once again, I think that looks like everybody's in there. It is what everybody's voted, well, what the majority have voted for is customer service and support. The reason for that, people are using chatbots for customer interactions to automate quite a lot of the customer interactions that are monotonous. So, you know, where is my parcel? Here's the reference number for something that I've ordered. How do I solve this? How do I contact this person? So these are the great elements of using AI in place of humans in order to make your organisation quite effective. Obviously, it is used in the other areas as well. However, this is the most common use for artificial intelligence in 2024. So one of the major issues with artificial intelligence is something called hallucination. Now, this is the official term for artificial intelligence incorrect data that's provided to you as a user. Hallucinating is built up in quite a few different areas. Again, not exhaustive, but in here you can see a couple of the reasons for it. So one of the major things in my view is that when we generate, let's say we generate a blog post, and that blog post, we've used Copilot to fill out the information, and it's pulled that information from the internet. So we've got this nice, new, fantastic blog post. Now, what that's doing is it's allowing us to then alter that text and add our little bits and pieces into it. That then goes off into the internet, and then that data or that data set is then available to be used by AI again. So what it's doing is it's continually pulling data after data after data after data. And the effect of this is similar to a photocopy. You get a piece of paper, you photocopy it, and then you photocopy the photocopied, so on and so forth, and you end up with effectively a diluted data set. I mean, photocopying a diluted image that is gradually harder and harder to read. So this is where you'll end up with possibly incorrect data. You've also got the biased data. So if you're using Copilot for your internal data sets, within your organization. So for instance, Connectors, we use it quite heavily for our internal data. It allows us to interact with customer information, with customers and sales teams and technical teams. If we are requesting information from Copilot and we want it to be a general answer from our data, it won't give us that because it's obviously going to be biased towards our organization. So it's recognizing where you're asking the data, how you're asking for that data, and making sure that that data isn't biased. Again, if you have an Edge browser that you're utilizing with Copilot and you're a massive Manchester City fan and you ask Copilot who in your opinion is the best football team in the world, the likelihood is it's going to start utilizing the data sets that you've previously been using, learning your behaviours, and it's going to come back with Manchester City. That's not a guarantee, but I'm sure a lot of people will be happy with that. You've also got the incorrect assumptions. So if you ask Copilot a question and it doesn't have a definitive answer, sometimes, and this is the same for all the artificial intelligence chatbots, sometimes it will give you an assumption. That assumption, obviously, may be incorrect, just like any human assumptions would be as well. And then we've got the insufficient data side. If you are asking it to work on your internal data and you don't have much internal data, then it's going to try and generate information from other places. What that means is you're probably going to get incorrect information again. So one of the major pull points from this is that if you are using artificial intelligence, particularly generative artificial intelligence, to create information and stuff that you are going to publish, you need to make sure that you check the information that's coming out, make sure that you see it as human readable, because there's nothing more embarrassing than sending something out that's obviously been generated via artificial intelligence and it looks nothing like what you would do. So there's a big thing at the moment with regards to artificial intelligence. So, and this is mainly down to leaders within business. So one of the things is model, not follow. So really, in the past, software providers have provided software and they've said, this is how you use this. We've all done it. We all know how to use Excel. We all know how to use Word. We all know how to use web browsers, instant messaging platforms, email. However, now the idea is that you, as a business leader and your teams, can model what you want your artificial intelligence environment to do. You don't have to follow what Microsoft, what Google, what all these organizations are saying. You can create your own trends. And, this is a great opportunity for businesses to really stand out, particularly with their competitors. If you're utilizing AI and your competitors aren't, have a guess who's going to have the edge? It's you. So what I'd say from a leadership standpoint is try and define a vision as to where you want artificial intelligence to be implemented within your business. An email or a video on your website, it's just not going to cut it anymore. So, utilizing artificial intelligence with all the applications around that you've got that can pull data from competitors, from the industry, from everything else. It allows you to communicate, to send communications out to your customers, to potential leads, everything else, in completely new ways and unique ways as well. So, and as leaders as well, don't try and do this on your own. Bring others into the conversation. Bring your colleagues into the conversation. AI is built through ideas. And if the more ideas you've got, the more information you've got, and the more data you've got to create, astounding communications out to your peers. So collaborative OSs. So Teams, everybody uses Teams now. We're aware of it. COVID brought that into everybody's mindset. Now, I think what Copilot and the other AI platforms are doing is they're making boring platforms exciting again. When I say again, it depends how excited you were about these platforms previous. So again, going back to Word, Excel, Outlook, web browsers, everything else. We've been working with these in the way we've been working with them for years and years and years. What AI is doing is making this exciting and allowing us to utilize single platforms, collaborative platforms like Teams, to ingest and bring data out of these applications without physically having to go in, type, highlight, copy, paste, all these other little things that you would be doing. We can use AI to do these for us. And that goes back into what the old way of working was. We've all worked with CRMs, we've worked with web browsers, we've worked with many different things, and these effectively are database viewers. Being a database viewer, it allows you to pull data into a single pane of glass that allows you to pull data, but you're still doing it manually, you're still doing it with your interactions. AI is allowing the likes of Teams and Slack to be that operating system instead of Windows and everything else. Teams and Slack being your operating system and being able to pull data from multiple data sources rather than a single pane of glass. It's multiple panes of glass being brought together once again under that operating system that we like to call it. So absolutely fantastic. Really use Copilot within your team setup. Copilot obviously being Microsoft side of things and Teams being there as well. Fantastic integrations between the two. So I'd say, really, really utilise that. A couple of things when it comes to artificial intelligence. There's a lot of ethics to be aware of. So a couple of things to work through, audits. So we know and we've seen news articles about artificial intelligence being, racist, sexist, discriminatory in many different ways because of the data sets that it pulls. Now, unfortunately, with the likes of social media in today's age, you do see a lot of this. And again, this is data that's on the internet, and this is data that artificial intelligence has to comb and has to work with. There are protections in place with a lot of these organisations and generative AI vendors. However, it's AI. It can't pick everything up. It's still not a human being. So we need to be able to audit all of the information that we ask AI to generate. That is something that I really recommend people do, and they disseminate that to their staff. Don't just take something and run with it. The other side is protecting personal information. So once again, AI is taking information from both internal systems and your external systems. Copilot currently has a wall effectively that you can put up so that your internal is separate to your external. Now that's fine, but it doesn't utilise the full idea of what AI is. Now, what we need to do is, if we will take that wall down, we need to make sure that people's personal information that's held by companies for HR purposes and other things isn't actually leaked into general data sets onto the internet. Now, there's a lot of GDPR regulations to bear in mind with this, so this is something that we just need to be aware of. Your HR teams need to be aware of, and your staff need to be aware of. So obviously, we've all heard about AI taking our jobs. Now, I don't think that's the case. I think AI is a complementary service to staff. However, what it will do is it'll take responsibilities away from staff, and those responsibilities should be assessed really. And if your staff are removing aspects of their daily life, then let's retrain them on new areas. Let's get staff making more money for the business, being more productive for the business. Don't just let them run away and effectively sit there and let AI do everything for them. Let's utilise staff in the most productive way we can. And then obviously we've got the governance side. Some companies have technical people within the business. Some people have, we've all had staff members that leave the business at some point. We need to make sure that we govern how the AI is used. If we're allowing people to create code, then we need to make sure that code is, again, audited. We need to make sure that code is not used for malicious purposes. We need to make sure that people aren't creating malware or ransomware, things like that. Because at the end of the day, if that's coming from your licensing, it's your responsibility. This is code that you own as a business. So another couple of interactive questions for you. So why do you think AI is becoming important in the workplace? Do you think it's to automate repetitive tasks? I think it's reduced the need for human supervision, make all decisions accurately, or to replace human workers entirely. Good. I mean, these questions aren't hard. So it's good that everybody's giving me the same answer. Yeah, you are right. It is to automate repetitive tasks. This goes back to what we were saying about individuals within the business. Why have people creating the same documents every single time? Why have people sending the same email every day? Why have people wasting time effectively when we can have artificial intelligence do it for us? Great example of this is myself. I don't have a PA, I don't have a secretary, or never have had. I do now in the form of Copilot. What this does is, on average, this has saved me about 8 to 9 hours a week. Now, over a month, that's a lot of hours. And when it comes to the cost of my workload to the business, it's fairly significant. So what that's doing is it's freeing up 9 hours a week for me to spend on other areas of the business, on innovation, on assistant sales guys, things like that. So it's allowing me to do more. And again, it's removing a lot of the repetitive tasks. It's allowing me to work with Teams meetings and to pick out different areas, emotional intelligence, what people are saying, what's important to people. And again, these are all the efficiency gains that we can gain from Copilot. Fair play. I think a couple of the guys here have already done this one. These are internal individuals. So give me 1 second. So modern workplace applications. So a couple of areas that it's being used very heavily, particularly within the financial sector. So a lot of the big banks are utilising this, and it's multilingual communications. When we're dealing with international trade, we know English is the language of the world. However, there are things that are lost in translation. It's happened with us before working in the likes of Africa and the European Union. We do lose things in translation. So being able to use Copilot as a translation service with immediate translation, it means that, again, we're gaining time, we're increasing our efficiency when dealing with international partners. Repetitive tasks, we talk about that are a thing of the past now. We don't need to worry about staff members wasting time, data input, things like that. Text-based content creation, I think we've all used this now. I think we've all created a document or asked AI a question to give us some information that we can send on to somebody. Great application for it. And again, Copilot is fantastic with its integrations with the Microsoft Office platform. And then we've got the custom Copilots. So if you do have Copilot, you can create custom Copilots for your internal use, for your external customer use. We've spoken about chatbots on your website that can provide information to people. You will see this a lot now. Most websites that you go on, most of the larger organizations, you'll have these chatbots, and they will allow you to interact with AI to get answers. And if not, it can then be forwarded onto a human being. These are really interesting, and they do take a bit of configuration. So it's great to use partners like Connectus to help you out with this. But effectively, the ideas are endless here. So with all the benefits of AI come some absolute dangers, as I'm sure you can imagine. So the George Washington University is saying that companies will be affected at least daily by the end of 2024 by malicious AI use. Now, that's quite a wide area of maliciousness. It could be through ransomware, could be through deep fakes, could be through data leaks that we were talking about earlier about personal information leaving your environment. It's also non-coders. Everybody now on this call, if you're not a developer, have a guess what you can do? You can actually develop software with the use of artificial intelligence. Now, that can be a danger, obviously, because that software isn't audited. There may be bugs in it. I think we heard yesterday, one of the two-factor authentication providers, one of the biggest in the world, Authy, they've had a massive data leak of personal information. And again, that was down to incorrect use of artificial intelligence. So even the big boys with the large investments into artificial intelligence are falling foul of this. So it's all about being aware of what is out there and how it can affect you. And let's try and use it for good and not for bad. This is an example of the bad. So I'm acting here as a non-technical person. I am technical, but I'm acting as a non-technical person. I've used ChatGPT here to write me some ransomware code that encrypts a user's data both on their desktop and across their network, and can only be unlocked with a decryption key. In other words, I want to be able to send somebody a code, but they only get that code if they pay me loads and loads of Bitcoin. Now, ChatGPT comes back and says, sorry, you can't do this. It's illegal. Okay. So with a bit of brain power, have a guess what I can do. What I can do is I can say, create a script that allows me to partially encrypt data on my hard drive. And what it'll do is it'll create that script for me. I then go a step further and I say, I want to make sure that this data, the encryption key that's used for it, is kept separate from the code. Okay, yeah, we can do that, no problem. Here's the code to do that. The next point, I want the encryption key to be able to be input via plain text. I want to be able to send that to the ransomware affected individual in the form of plain text, so they can input that and get their data back. Now, let me extend this across the whole organization. So I've now created ransomware using ChatGPT. It's mind-boggling that this can happen, but again, ChatGPT, Copilot, they are not human beings. So if you've got more information to feed to it, it will give you some malicious things. So just be aware of how dangerous artificial intelligence can be, and effectively what you or your staff can actually achieve with it. It's quite scary. So what I'd like to say is thank you. If you do have any questions, I'm sure you've added them at the end. What I'll do is I'll go on to them now, and I'll see if we can answer any of these questions. I don't have any questions at the moment. If you do have a question, please feel free to input it.
Do you mind if I just ask a question? I haven't typed it.
Yeah, go for it.
So you were speaking about Copilot rather I'm really new to this, so forgive me, rather than the likes of, say, ChatGPT and others. Is there any particular reason for that, or is that just the one you use?
So Copilot is one that we use heavily internally. It's also the most corporate focused one because of the integration, or the major integrations with the Microsoft 365 platform. The majority of organizations do use Microsoft 365, not all. However, the language models that Copilot, ChatGPT, and a lot of the others are using are GPT-4. So they're using the same data models. It's just a case of what overlay you want to have as an individual, what you want to pay for, effectively.
I see. So the likes of Claude, they're all just variations of a similar thing.
If they are using the same data sets like GPT-4, which most are, yes. However, the industry is really kicking on now, and there's individual data set or data models that are being developed. Obviously, it's breeding competition.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
No problem. I've got a question here from Andy. How dangerous can it be in education? Obviously, we've just shown examples as to how it can be dangerous. Children, for as much as we think that they're the sweet, innocent people, I've got two myself. I know that they can have some really bright ideas. The problem is they don't have the experience that those bright ideas shouldn't be implemented. So I'd say that it can be extremely dangerous, both from a safeguarding standpoint and from an external maliciousness standpoint. Do we have any more questions? No? Okay. Well, if we conclude
are you able to share the slides?
Yeah, absolutely. What we've done is we've recorded the webinar, so we'll make this available to everybody that's attended, and I will share the slides, and you can work with them moving forward.
Okay. And is this a one-off, or are you doing further workshops, or?
So we want to gauge what the appetite is for it. So if people do want some further workshops, we can do that. We can do that for your organisation personally, or we can continue the webinar series. I've got a couple of webinars coming up that I'll be hosting, as well as my colleagues Nick, Andy, and Chris. So I'd say keep an eye out on our socials, particularly on LinkedIn, and you should see the ability to sign up for these webinars.
Great, thank you very much for today.
No problem. Thank you everybody for attending, and hopefully that's been informative for you. And if you do have any questions, please get in touch with me. There's the phone number for the business, and I trust you will have a great weekend, and hopefully England will be victorious. Thank you everybody.